everyone, welcome back. Hi, hi. Okay, yeah. Today the plan is I wanted to write like code in live instead of recording and then uploading. So in this session, we will be writing Spring Boot REST application from scratch, and the main goal is to display the URL. And so we will be like today, let's use Spring Boot REST API, and we will implement microservices. So this is a service where we have URL, which we call like endpoint, and if anyone other services call this endpoint, they will be getting data, whatever we will be like creating. So basically, let's implement HTTP method get, and we will try to get list of users, or like if you want any user with ID. So that's what we'll basically do it. Today we'll be using Spring Boot, and we'll use JAX-RS to implement, or like to use get method. So let's go, and we'll do like spring spring starter. So I have to create this, so I already uploaded video where you can create Spring Boot basic application end to end. So it's already there in my channel. So you can see how you can install STS in your Eclipse and you can use it. So right, let's go to Spring Starter project, and here user data HTTP and serve. Since I already have a Spring Boot REST serve, so this is creating REST serve one. I'll link my GitHub where I already committed this code and it's already available. So I'll be linking after the session. So next, and we will so here dependency. Today I'll be using 1.5.19. I won't be using 2. I don't know, like sometimes it throws some weird errors. So today I'll be using Spring Boot. So I'll try to upgrade it in future, but today I want to choose like 1.5. And we have dependency Jersey and web. This is already there because I use a lot this one. And next, hit on finish. So it takes like few seconds to initialize and import all the dependency. So this is basically a Spring Boot, this one. And so now the first step we created, we just need to make sure what all the, like go to pom. This is where if you want to add any other dependencies, you can add it here. So right now we have starter Jersey, and we added web, and we have test, but today we will not be writing any test. Yeah, this is what we are using. So now so right now let's create resource. I'll tell you, like let's create resource where you can see, or like the endpoint, we can create the endpoint which we are exposing it to other services. So I will write like user resource. Yeah, and click on finish. So in this one, okay, so here this is where, this is like resource where you have like what all the HTTP methods your application will be supporting. We can write it here. like if it is get, if it is post, put, patch. So today we will be using, as I mentioned, um, get. So I will copy this chunk of code and I'll explain. So here, okay. So if it's any URL, how will that know? Like we need to mention what is the path we'll be using. So like localhost and like port, and if you give slash URL users, this is where it comes. Like it. So we are mentioning what is the path and producers and consumes. So the here this both, like this particular thing, our application supports JSON format. So that's what basically we are this means. And now let's, okay, first let's make it as interface, so then we can implement whatever we want, or like based on the requirement. And so now here what you can see is, I'll explain like what I've done just to save some time. So now let's see. And right now we are doing two operations, like there is get and we know we have one more get. So what is the difference between these two are, here this method, it gets the user list, whatever there is a list available, or gets like whatever it creates, it gets the all user list. But and this method, it gets the user with ID. So it is taking user ID, path param, which you gives. So basically the URL will be, or you can see like what is the difference between how will application know which get to call. So that's where we see like path. So if it is localhost, port, and slash users, so then here you don't see any other path, so it calls this method. If it is users slash user and slash, if you give any ID, user ID 1 2 3, then it goes to this method. So let's see, like whenever you, these are the two URL we are exposing, so we need to implement this one. So let's implement, and first let's clean the code. So always try to clean uh, the code, or like import names. If someone else look at your code, they should understand what exactly it means instead of they going through your code. So it's always good to have good naming convention, so that makes good developer. So we have resource, now we need to implement it. So you will see more copy paste. I'm not gonna copy from anything, like from now on I'll be writing it. So we have, let's write impl. So basically like we need to write implementation to this one. So here, I'm sorry, will implement implements I don't know. So we're gonna implement this too. So yeah, now before we implement this, like we need to define or like implement this when the user calls with ID, what you should be providing, write a logic here, and whenever there is a list, like if they call users, then you should provide the list of user which you have. Let me see anybody asking any questions. Okay, now to give user we need to have user model. So now let's create user model, which user, and keep it in model. So here let's have private int user ID, private string first name, let's name it this, and private string last name. Okay, our user model has user ID, first name, and last name. So we will be creating this based on so like it's like you need to build user data or user model based on the requirement. And so this is like encapsulation where you need to have if these variables are private, and to get and set the value you need getter and setter. So I mean I like to use lombok, so where it cleans the code and it's easy to maintain. So let me, so to use lombok we need first dependency. So I'm using lombok dependency, and to get and set, what I'm doing, I want getter and I want builder. It's basically it does the same, like it gets the value and it builds. If you want user with these IDs, it builds and give you the user. I'll show you how you can use it. So it's like, now can you see if you use lombok, like it's crisp and clear. So it's not like dot get and set, you don't have all that boiler code. So now since today we are not dealing with any database, so let's create some static user data, so that if there is an like if we need anything, like we can get and set the value. So now since I am creating this static way, you can util, so I want user list, so what I can do is public static user get user list. Let's import the user. This is what our user. So now it needs, yes, return it. Now what do we want? We need list of user. It's not just user, so we need list of user. So we need array list. Let's do it. So now let's create the list. User list, new, let's create our list. Okay. So now, just for example, first one, I just want to do it like this. User. Now you know we have lombok, so do builder dot user ID. I want it as 1 dot first name. I want first name as first name first yes, first dot last name as first last, and you need that as you need build, otherwise it gives you a builder, so you need user. Do control shift F, it is not coming, so since we need to build the list, so like this, and usually I don't want to like create one and create object, so what I do, let's do one more, and let's copy this one, build, and create 1 and 2. So this is second THIRD. So now in our list we have 3, like first name, first last, second first, second last, and third last, and third first. So we have 3 and we need to return this. So now let's go to our implementation. Now we know this get user list. So as we see here, if the path is /users, we need to give all the list. So currently we are statically building. Think if it is like a real application, real-time application, you will be getting it from the table, like using SQL, NoSQL, like, so you can use anything and get that, and you can build it and send it to this method. So now we need to get the list. So how to get the list? So here we know it as static, but I just want to, like, if people who don't know more about static, I just want to explain them what exactly it is. So the way to call the static, so there are 2 ways to call any class. So one, you create the object, or if it is static, you just directly with the class name you will be calling the method. So since I can get here user list dot get list, I get the list. Now I need to response dot so we need to set the status. So let's set status dot yeah, since we are getting the value, let's do it as accepted. Just a second, sorry, yeah, accepted. If it is post, you can like create it. So since it is get, we are getting the value, and I need to build the entity. So that build entity will be this one. So we can just delete this one. I am doing like, I am using Mac, so it's Command D. I deleted this, and so basically like in response I get status code and the value dot build it. So build output as response. So that's it. You get the value and it should be perfectly fine. Here, this one. So let's implement get user with ID. So if whatever I give user ID, based on this user ID, I should get the user detail. So first, let me, yeah, let's keep it clean. Let's write less code. User, user. By now, you know how to get the user list. If it is static, that's it. It's a list, right? User list of user list equal to, I get the list. So this is the model we get. Now let's loop through. Here in for loop, user, this is a variable and you need to give the list. Now we need to write if user ID equal to user of get user ID. If this one is equal to the user in the user ID, then return so I'm gonna just copy the same here. In this you will be returning user, not this one. In entity you will return the user, or else user return null. So did you get it? So if I have a user ID, then I loop through it, and if I get user with the user ID which is equal, then I'll send that in the entity and build the response. So basically this is how it works. So let's build this and see. So go to run as maven build. I want to see what exactly it is running. Oh. Okay. So this one, run configuration, go to run configuration. Now here clean install, yeah, that's correct. We need to do clean install. Let me see, do I have any question from anyone? I don't know. So what do you think? Do you think implementing all this, our REST will be up and running? So do you think we will face any problem? So to test this, we'll use Postman. So as I mentioned, we basically what is the advantage, or how this is useful. So think if some other application wants to get the user, then they can call directly our resource, which is the endpoint. So our application will be deployed, and we will have particular exact this thing. It doesn't exist, so I'm not sure why. So let's see. Let me kill this one and then so first I want to do Maven update. Not sure why it is telling like pom is not there. Okay, updated. So then we'll do this clean install. Let's not give profile. Okay. In meanwhile, let's see how to make a call from Postman. So this is my Postman. Now we have so right now we know like we are making like get call. So get call and we have mentioned content type application JSON. That's what we have seen. In producer and consumer we have given this, and so and we know like our URL will be localhost users and user ID. So and then so if you so now we built this one. If you want to run, go to wherever you see Spring Boot application. Here, right click. Then I'm just gonna start. So not in debug because I know it's gonna throw error. I'll tell you why it is gonna throw error. So let's see. So now, by the time it starts, let's just recap what we have done. So this is our Spring Boot REST API microservices. This is like, see here, we did not write everything. So it's like as a microservice, we are exposing URL and like, for example, without UI, like we don't have UI, like some other team can take this value and they can call our API with the ID, like URL, whatever we have given. So they get the list and they can display in UI. So I don't need to sit and write all three layers like presentation, application, business layer. And here, so we have created user list. So I don't need to do this. Like if there is any other API which they are like, for example, think there is a service where gets the value from the table and they give it, so that I don't need to maintain the session and like create a transaction. So I don't need to do all that in my service. So I can like, if there is any downstream, I can call that service to get the list. So that's how that's the advantage of microservices. You don't need to like, and if they have like they have getting the value from the table, I don't need to, my application doesn't need to, like I don't need to fix anything, or like if it's in live I don't need to redeploy. So other service which gets the table like value from table, we need to just fix there and redeploy it. So those are the advantages, and it's like crisp and clear. So what do you think, like if I make a call with this one, do you think it will come? We will get an error for sure. Yeah. So void getting this 404, I know like this will not give us any information. I don't know where I went wrong, because as we know, here you can see like I have like a resource, I have impl which I have given, and I don't know where it is going wrong. Okay, let's see. Let me start in debug and see like can we do it, and I'm using this one, and like I started here. Let's see, like, so now we are calling with user ID. Do you think it will come here? So let's see is that is the case. Yeah, it's very difficult to like debug 404. So make sure whatever you write, that's why now we know like wherever we get the error, based on that like we can easily um, debug. So now our application is up and running. See, as we see, it did not even come here. So let me tell you why it is not coming. So we are with Spring Boot. Okay, to implement REST, we can use or implement in two um, ways. One is like Spring REST and Spring with JAX-RS. So when you do Spring REST, the Spring, it's like it's our configuration and all will be available, or it's like defaultly available. But for Spring, and if you are using Spring Boot, if you are using JAX-RS, then you need to register to use your resource. Like you need to register. So let me show you. So now let's create configuration, like in ResourceConfig. Go here, let's stop this. Okay, we mainly this one will have just the configuration. Here we need to extend. Okay. So you need to extend ResourceConfig here. Let's register our resource. Register. Hope I have done it. Let's build and try. Hope this works. Let's see this, and by that time so if you have any, let's see if someone has any question. Do you have any question? I don't see any chat here, so I hope. So if you like this kind of like session, please let me know in the comment. Please subscribe and like this live stream. So in future, I am thinking to make video on like enhancing this application. So I want to show how. Let's start. Yeah. So basically, I want to show how we can consume this URL or web services which this application is exposing. So I am thinking to upload that tutorial by next week or this weekend. So what basically I'm doing is, so I just want to show how we can integrate, or like you can use different technology stack to consume the URL. It's not like since you have written this one using Java, you don't need to write every other resource or application using Java. So you can use anything. So that's why I'm thinking to write in React.js, so that like I'll be using this resource URL and consume And see, right now whatever we will be seeing in Postman, we will see the same in React.js. So I'll be uploading that, and I'm thinking to do like videos on how to solve um, like programming questions, and like programming interview questions, like find string or like word count using Java 8. And so I'm also thinking to do like uh, backend Java interview questions. Like right now, we have seen we have seen like get and like path, and we have covered like path param, and we've used static already. Like what a static method, you can tell, like we can use like static block. And I just want to like cover few interview questions, so which basically helps who is like trying to crack interviews, or who is like fresher, wants to know what exactly happens in the real world. And if you need anything related to like Java backend, let me know, like messaging JMS. I did work on JMS, so I can make even video on that too. Now, let's see. Will this work? What do you think? Is this gonna work? So we still have error. Let's see, like what is the error we are getting. So initialization started. Okay. Okay. Let me see. We have HTTP user. Let me try user. So users. Let's see why it is not working. So we have this. It's good. We have this one. Okay, so yeah, so like we have made, never ever make this silly mistake. Like I know, I mean, trust me. So now we did everything, but did we annotate our classes, which is very important in Spring Boot. So how will that? No. Every time I make this mistake. Every time. So let's try now. Never ever make this mistake. This is the silliest mistake. Not ever anyone can do. I always do it. I'm like stupid. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Do you think it's gonna work? I hope it should work. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, so let's cover a few more. So when you go here, like some interview questions, and they can ask what are the HTTP codes, you know. So what is like 200s, 300s, and 400. So now if it is successful, we give 200s. If there is any internal server, you give 500. Like if you're not able to connect to downstream, or if you're not able to connect to um, um, like table, so you give a particular error. And so like if there is anything error, like okay, let me explain, like business error. So here I'm telling I want user ID. So here we are not giving anything since it is get. Think for example post, and I am expecting user, which this user model. How someone who is trying to use our application or call the endpoint, how will they know how or what exactly user should contain? So that is what we call it as contract. We need to define the contract, like what exactly the user should be, user object should have. So I mean, I am in my office, like we are using Swagger JSON. So let's see, what do you think it's gonna work? It is taking time, means it might be good sign. We don't know. Yes. Oh, can you see? This is the problem with copying. Yeah, this shows I'm very bad in copying. So you need to 2 and 3. It says, yeah. So good thing we saw the result here. So we have like first last, second first, and second last. So when this is up and running, let's run it. And please like comment down below if you want to know anything. Yeah, I think it will be useful if you are a fresher or trying to give an interview. So I'll be covering those topics, each and everything, like whatever we went through, and like what developer should know as a like 1 year, 2 year, or a fresher. Let me know if you want me to give you like giveaways, or yeah, I'm too new to YouTube. So according to our resource, where is our resource? So we have like on get, if you do this path, you I'm telling that like my application will be giving you the list of users. So I am telling like I have one more get, where if you give user and give one, like with the ID, this ID, we are taking this value as path param. This might be one of your spring question. So this path param, how do you take this? So if it's, think for example, if you want as a query param, you do like this, and like then for example user id equal to 1, if you want it as query param. No, but this is not. So and then if it's 1, I should get first. See, I can see right now, we know, we can see that our code is coming here. Let's, we don't want, I just disabled our debug pointer. Now let's see. Yeah, you can see like first, what's the cover? Second, yes, it is working. 3, let's see. 5, what happens if you get 5? Nothing, because no content. Why? Because we have given null. Give error code. Response, let's give not found. You can write like not found. Let's see, it's not found. Sorry, this is taking forever. I hope my audio is not muted till now. Hello. Yeah. Now, if you make a call, see here, not found. Till now we got like 204. Now it's not found. So this is how you can handle the error. You can build error. Like here, you can display something like saying there is some error problem. It's like exception handling. You can do so many things. So I hope the session helped at least for some person. So let me know what you want to see next. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Thank you. Please subscribe to my channel, comment down and like this video.